Today's forecast is
FTWBROADCASTING.
I am seeing double. It's a trap.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to FTW number 3. My name's AWOL, and joining me, as always, is my boy Danny. And we've got a special guest today. That's right, the King of Town. He's going to be hanging out in that middle box today on our Starcraft 2 network, probably eating a cardboard box covered in pancake or a stick of butter. Thanks for joining us, KOT.
I'm happy to be here, Mr. Wall, Mr. Scott. I am indeed eating a cardboard box covered in pancake syrup and a stick of butter, treating myself today.
Sounds delicious. Well, let's get right into our first topic. Danny, help us out. What's the first topic?
Well, our first topic today, you may or may not have noticed or heard about it. Blizzard has apparently started giving away 30-day free trials to WoW to their Starcraft 2 owners. So if you don't have WoW and you have Starcraft 2, you might have received an email saying, hey, come try WoW. Personally, I think it's just a smart marketing move and certainly nothing sinister there. But what do you guys think? And King of Town, since you are our guest and royalty, I might say, why don't you start?
Well, this to me signals a very joyous moment in World of Warcraft history, because to me this seems like the sort of marketing ploy you make when you're on your way down. Now, by no means am I suggesting that WoW is dead. It still has, of course, an extremely strong, extremely loyal player base. But this sort of aggressive marketing usually comes when they're trying to make up for losses as opposed to make strides in their subscribership.
Well, that's an interesting thought. I think you're about 100% wrong, though. You call it aggressive marketing. I call it, to me, it seems more passive than anything. It's just like, okay, well, let's throw some trial accounts out here. What I'm actually really interested about these trial accounts, and if anyone's gotten one this way, let us know. Are they like these trial accounts you get like when you pick up a CD in GameStop or something, where it's just a 10-day trial? And because those trial accounts are very limited, you can't use mail, you can't talk with friends, you can't really do a lot of anything. And I'm wondering if they're giving them full accounts. And
I'd be curious to know that as well. Go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, I'm just kind of baffled that he would think that you could say anything about WoW being on the downturn, because I think their subscribers have been nothing but up for 6 years in a row now.
Yeah, I mean, I think WoW is going to be very, very successful until the next MMO comes out from Blizzard. It might start losing subscribers over the next couple of years, but that doesn't mean it won't still be in the millions and be very, very successful. I don't think it's going anywhere, at least for another 3 or 4 years. And as far as this type of marketing is concerned, I don't consider it aggressive either. Other companies do the same thing. Blizzard is appealing to their existing customers by appealing to StarCraft 2 customers, which is perfectly fine. And you see marketing ploys like this from all other companies. You saw this back in the day with Super Nintendo. You know, you buy one game, you can get another game half off. Might be an older game. Steam does promotions like this, where if you already own one game or you buy the expansion for this, then you get the next one. I think they're advertising to the right people. I don't feel like if they're trying to appeal to me to get me to get a WoW account, I don't feel offended. I'm already a Blizzard customer, and I'm their target market. So more power to them.
Well, I don't think anybody said anything about being offended. I think that if you call up the examples that you cited, those promotions generally tend to come after the peak, after the pinnacle of sales. So, again, I'm not suggesting WoW is dead or dying, but maybe it's got a little cold.
Maybe it's got a little cold. So, would you say that their motivations in this promotion are sinister?
Well, I think sinister is going a long way. I mean, they're just doing what companies do. They're trying to market to people they think will buy their product. I think that it's probably not going to be that successful, and that I expect that virtually anybody who is already a purchaser of Blizzard games will have by now inspected and decided whether they want to play WoW on their own.
I don't, by the way. I do not. Just for the record.
Well, you heard it here first. The King of Town thinks Blizzard is up to no good.
Good point.
Said, yes. That being said, when it comes to WoW and taking down WoW, everyone's always talking about the next WoW killer. And AWOL, what's the next topic? I think that is pretty much what we're on topic to talk about.
Well, it is, and this is something I'm starting to do a series of videos for. It's Star Wars: The Old Republic, and I'm very, very excited about this game. I'm pretty sure you guys are too. I guess we'll find out here in a minute. I'm basically opening this up for a free-for-all topic. Star Wars: The Old Republic. They've actually released a number of videos for this already, and they've released a decent amount of information. I'm going to kick this over to you, Danny. This is free-for-all, but the first thing I want to know is what class and are you most interested in, and what feature are you most interested in? You can answer those two and then say whatever you want.
Well, to lay it out, the feature I'm most interested in is the single player questing, what they're doing as far as the quest line when you're by yourself. It seems like what they're attempting to do with the Old Republic is they're taking the grinding, questing, trying to level up part of a multiplayer MMO, and they are replacing it with a full-fledged BioWare single-player experience, complete with companions and choices and ramifications of those choices. And I think that's a really interesting idea because you're taking the single-player MMO, which is notoriously great from BioWare, a great single-player experience, and using that to fill in that kind of weaker spot in an MMO. You know, when those first 20 levels of an MMO are really shiny and they're really fun and you're getting new abilities constantly, but then the leveling up to max level starts to get a little tedious. And by replacing that with its own game, I think they might be kind of giving you that, pulling you back into the game and holding you in the game, getting you to actual game, because everyone knows MMOs, the actual game is the end game. And I want to see what they're going to do with the end game, if they're going to make it, how interesting they're going to make it, how are they going to make you stick around. So, with that said, the classes, I believe the one I'm most interested in is Sith Warrior, but I want to set a note, splitting the classes up 4 and 4 with different abilities, I think that can only be a bad idea in the long run. You cannot balance a game when the two opposing factions have completely different abilities.
Interesting. All right, I'm going to kick this one over to you, KO. What do you think about the game so far? I know you've been doing some research.
Yeah, this is one I've had my eye on for a while. As soon as I heard BioWare was getting into the MMO market, of course I was excited, and unfortunately, I hate to do this, but I'm going to have to agree with Danny. Based on BioWare's track record, I see nothing but good things for this game. I am going to have to disagree with him on the point about balance issues. I think it's harder when you have different capabilities on different factions to balance the game. I think that if you do it properly, as long as you make sure that certain skills aren't underrepresented in each faction, instead of balancing classes, you work on balancing factions. By that way, you can achieve balance. As far as the aspect of the game I'm most excited about, I would have to say that's space combat. I think it's really interesting to have a travel method that also does more than just lets you get around. You know, you get in your starship and you have different capabilities and different strengths and weaknesses than your character does on the ground. And so I think that adds more depth to the game, which in an MMO, you know, one of the key things you have to do is keep your player's interest. And by having those, you know, different aspects of the game that you can apply different aspects of your character to, I think that's going to help. As far as the classes go, I'm really interested in the Imperial Agents. They seem to be sort of a thief-rogue class, which has always been right up my alley. So that's pretty much where I stand on that.
Oddly enough, it looks like the agent is also the healer in some of the advanced trees, and I haven't let AWOL talk at all, but I want to talk about the advanced tree structure. It seems very, very interesting that, like I said, you said the Imperial agent looks like a rogue and a thief, and I saw some of the kind of advanced stuff. It looks like it's actually the healer class, so it seems possible to really, you know, every Imperial agent is 100% different. And moving on, coming back to the classes not being difficult to balance, you make a good point, balancing the faction, but there is the issue of homogenization there. So basically, you just need to make sure everybody has a heal, and the heals have to work the same way. Ability X might as well be ability Y, except for name and color. Hopefully they don't go that route. And to bring up WoW again, which is always the elephant in the room when you're talking about MMOs, there's probably a reason that in their very first expansion they stopped with the unique classes per faction.
Probably, you know, though, actually, this is the feature that most interests me and it most scares me for that same reason. once everybody gets up to level 10, then they'll have the choice to specialize and to split off one of two directions. So if there's 4 classes on either side, you're actually looking at 8 classes on either side. And who knows what other levels of customization they're going to release after that. I think that's going to be extremely hard to balance in PvP and Arena, but as far as PvE is concerned, that's fantastic, and that's what I'm going to be playing the most of. And I haven't really seen any information released as far as PvP, so I'm really not that interested in that right now. Just to kind of echo some things that Danny already said about the game, the thing I'm most excited about, and I guess it's kind of gimmicky, and people out there don't seem as crazy about it as me, the voice acting. That's something that kills me in most MMOs. I just run around, and you guys probably do that too. You probably run around to your NPCs, click whatever paragraphs you just said, yada yada yada. All right, I'll go kill 50 hogs for you. And if that NPC is actually talking to me and engaging me in a real conversation, in a real story that I care about, Danny's right. That grind between the level 30s, level 40s, it'll be so much more interesting because you're actually engaged in the game. I'm not just trying to level up for level up's sake. I actually care about my characters. And the second thing I'm very excited about is the choice system, and I know the BioWare's done this before and they've done it very successfully. I really want to see how much those choices actually affect you. I don't want, it's always cool to see a different cutscene sequence if you decide to murder the captain as opposed to spare his life, but if it really actually changes your story arc and maybe you even fight a different boss down the end of the line, now that would be cool. And that's something that would really give it replay value, because almost all MMOs and RPGs talk about replay value in the story, but I think this is the one where you actually will get that epic content. What do you think?
I think that's a great point, but there's one issue I can see happening with it. If that carries over, particularly into the end game, where choice 1 leads you to boss X and choice 2 leads you to boss Y. Well, great, you have choice, you have something interesting, maybe boss Y is more funner, but the problem is, if boss X drops the best loot, guess what? You're always going to go to boss X.
Not if you care about the story enough, though, to go to boss Y.
I think it's more likely there will be a correct choice based on your specialization or something like that. So, if I feel it's more likely that you'll end up with a system where you get, a great loot for a healer type class from this boss and great loot for an assassin type class from this boss. So depending on what your specialization is, will determine which way you want to go, which will give you the option to go that way, and that be the best choice should you decide to play a different character with a different specialization.
True enough.
That is a good point. I like that. What we're really coming down to is I find we're saying a lot of, okay, well, it'll be really cool if X, but we don't know what they're going to do. And there's not a lot of, released a decent amount of information, but it's all really, really vague. And for a game that's supposed to be coming out by the end of this year, maybe, sort of, there's a release date's kind of tentative.
It's very tentative. Everything I've read everywhere, it's TBA 2011. So it will be announced this year as to when it's coming out. So personally, if I'm going to speculate here, make a prediction, I'm going to predict early 2012. If they're going to announce it coming out this year, they're going to do it this summer for the holiday season. But I'm predicting March 2012.
I think that's a good prediction. The end, and mostly because the end of this year, I think, and fingers crossed in this one, but I think the holiday season this year is going to belong to Diablo 3. It's definitely not something they want to be butting heads with, especially with their probably $1 billion MMO. I think this probably is the most expensive MMO ever at this point.
Well, they've been developing since 2006, and based on, they keep emphasizing content. They've had a giant staff since then. I don't know the numbers. I don't know where they're at right now in their expenditures. I don't think they've listed that information. Maybe because it would be bad for the stockholders to find out. I'm not sure. But I'm okay with them spending all this time on it as long as the game actually gets released and as long as it's polished. And I'm fine. If a company wants to spend 5 or 6 years on a game, fantastic. I don't want to play any more mediocre MMOs. I'm only playing excellent ones, or I'm just dropping it in the first trial month.
I agree. But they do need to watch out for, if the game takes too long, the engine can degrade before it's even been seen. The shine can wear off before people even watch it, because all of a sudden you could end up, I'm not saying BioWare is going to do this, but it is very possible that they could end up delivering a game a 4-year-old engine, and people just don't have the patience for that anymore. You have it in a WoW. WoW's engine has been upgraded a lot, but it's still old. But people have already been attached, and it's been so many improvements onto it. So they need to watch out for that. But they do also. But also, another way it might not be released. This is kind of off. Maybe it's a little off topic. I didn't mention it. Mass Effect 3 coming out at the end of this year, and I don't know what that noise was, but Mass Effect 3 at the end of this year, so they definitely don't want to be butting up against their own games. They don't want to butt up against Blizzard games, so they have to really lay this out strategically, but they can't wait too long.
It's got to be early 2012. It's got to be. And no, they aren't going to want to line up their release with Mass Effect 3. I completely agree with that. I wanted to come out earlier than that, but we're going to know when this game's coming out. They're going to have a huge rollout. They're going to roll this thing out very slowly. They're going to do their open beta and all of that. So we're a little bit ways out, but we're going to continue to cover this game. And do you guys have any more points you want to make about SWTOR?
Well, I would just like to point out that any FTW broadcasting viewer that gets a beta to this game, send me a PM, I will buy your beta key.
Oh, but for how
Good.
much?
He's a
What's
king.
your buy it now feature? Oh, he's.
I'll give him a chest full of gold.
A chest.
There you
full
go.
of
That's a
gold.
good deal.
That is a good deal. That is a good. Well, I think we can conclude here that myself, I won both points, so that's 2-0. You guys lost, but you guys can get a rematch in FTW number 4. Thank you for joining us, KOT. We really appreciate it. And stay tuned for our next episode, folks. By the way, very important, post in the comments below what you thought about our opinions, and post in the comments below topics that you would be interested in hearing. Now, if you want to check out our channel, just click that little FTW broadcasting symbol down there in the bottom center. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you in our next cast.